My name is Kevin Fernandez and welcome to my channel, Gamers Genie. Today, we're going to learn the city building resource gathering game, Everdell. This 1 to 4 player game designed by James A. Wilson and published by Starling Games. In this game, you are a critter who's trying to build up a city to survive the harsh winter for next year because this year was pretty bad. You have to go through spring, autumn, and summer in order to build up your resources and build your town. But be careful because your opponents are also building a town too, and they may take the critter or building you need. Will you be able to build a successful, thriving city, or will you suffer through the winter and freeze? Find out as we go to the table and play the game, Everdell. Place the board on the table. Place the Ever tree on the stump at the top of the board. Place the twigs, resin, pebbles, and berries in piles along the riverbank of the board. Place the point tokens and occupy tokens beside the board. Shuffle the forest cards and place them on the forest clearings. Use 3 cards for 2 players or 4 cards for 3 or 4 players, but the remaining cards go back to the box. Place the 4 basic event tiles along the river. Then shuffle the special event cards right here and place 4 special events on the lower branches of the Ever tree. Like so. Shuffle the main deck and randomly place 8 cards face up in the meadow. Place the deck inside the Ever tree. Each player chooses a color and starts with 2 workers of that color. Each player chooses a color and starts with 2 workers of that color. The first player will then draw 5 cards. The second player will draw 6 cards. The third will draw 7, and the fourth will draw 8. Each player places a worker on the top branches, the remaining workers on the top branches of the Ever tree. 1 for spring, 2 for summer, and 1 for autumn. The most humble player goes first. And that completes the setup. I want to do a quick note that even though we use the Ever tree in the setup of this game, from this point forward in the video, we will no longer be using it because it obstructs the view of you, the viewer, and of course of me, the teacher who is teaching the game. But if you'd like, when you're playing this game at home, you can set it up, the Ever tree, in the spot that I showed you in the setup. There are 2 types of locations, exclusive and shared. Only 1 worker may visit an exclusive location. However, multiple workers, even of the same color, may visit a shared location. To visit a location, place 1 of your workers on any available paw print and immediately take the listed resources or perform the action. That worker is then considered deployed to that location until you bring them back with your prepare for the season action. Your workers are necessary for the expansion and the success of your city. If you will be deploying them to various locations in Everdell in order to gather resources, draw more cards, host events, or perhaps to embark on a journey. The 4 placement locations are only used in a 4-player game. However, you may not place 2 of your own workers in a single forest location. So what they're meaning is anything that has this little white mouse right down here, you can't really see it, but it's right here. you can't use if you're playing that with less than 4 players. You may place a worker on a destination card in your city or on a destination card in another city if that has the open symbol, in which case the owner of the destination gains 1 point token from the supply. So for example, this inn is a destination card. I made a close-up on it as best as I could. I can take one of my critters if this was in Jordan City. Right now it's in the meadow. But if this was in Jordan City, I can place my critter in her inn and she would get a token for that because she has the open symbol right here on her card. You may also place one of your workers on any remaining basic events or special events on the Evertree like we showed in the setup to achieve it. To achieve the event, you must meet all the listed requirements on the event and must pay any resources at the time you place your worker there. Only one player may achieve a specific event. You have to be able to achieve the event to place the worker on the actual event. Achieved events should be placed beside your city scoring at the end of the game. So for example, if I had enough for the Harvest Festival, so I had 4 of these green symbols up at the top, and the cards are very specific on which one's green. So like this Peddler and the Barge Toad are green. So then I would take this and I'd move it off to my side of the table. The Haven location is a shared space. The shared spaces, by the way, are the ones with the open circles. They don't have a full circle. So the resin, that's a closed space. There is no limit to the number of workers that may be placed on it, even of the same color. By going here, you may discard any number of cards from your hand and gain 1 of any resource for every 2 cards discarded. So for example, if I discarded all 8 cards, I get, math. I get a lot of resources. That's what would happen for every 2, but I wouldn't recommend discarding your entire hand. In autumn only, you may send a worker on a journey. You must discard cards equal to the listed points of the journey. That's down here, off screen. So you place a worker down at any point in the journey, and you discard that many cards. So if you choose a 5-point journey, you have to discard 5 cards. If you just choose to take a 4-point journey, discard 4 cards, a 3-point journey, 3 cards, and a 2-point journey, you just discard 2 cards. Now the 5 to 3-point journeys are closed journeys. So if anybody reaches those spaces, then they get that point. However, the 2 spot is an open space. So as many people as you like, even of the same color, can go there. So 5-point journey, 5 cards, discarded. You may play 1 card. To play a card, you must pay the listed requirements into the general supply. Cards may be played from either the meadow or your hand. You will be playing these cards in front of you to form your city. There are 2 types of cards in the game. Critters, which is like the Architect, the Wife, the Barge Toad, the Wanderer, and the Peddler. Or constructions, that would be the inn, the lookout, the crane, a farm, chapel, etc. You may have multiple copies of any common card in your city, but you may only have 1 specific copy of any unique card. You must pay the required cost in berries to play the critter card, or if the construction listed on the top left of the critter card is already in your city, you may play the critter card without paying the cost in berries. So for example, let's say I wanted the Architect. Well, all I would need to do first is pay a pebble. I can take the crane and put it in my city. Yeah, put it in my city. On my next turn, I can take one of these little wood chips right here, place it on top of the Architect symbol, and I can take the architect for free, with replacing each card I took in the meadow accordingly. This is very important. When playing a critter for free, by using the related construction, place the occupy token on the construction. You may only do this once per construction. So just like I showed you, you just place your occupied token on the card, and then you get to play that critter for free. However, like I said, you can only do this once. Your city has a maximum of 15 spaces to play cards into. Each card takes up 1 space. The recommended layout is 3 rows with 5 cards in each. Event cards do not count against this 15 card limit. I also want to point out, since he is on the board, if you have 15 cards in your city and you see the Wanderer and you have 2 berries, you can still play the Wanderer in your city because he does not count towards your 15. There are multiple different card types that activate in different parts of the game. So the first type is the Tan Traveler. That's cards like the Wanderer and several other things like the Fool. And they activate one immediately when played, and it never activates again. So you get to draw 3 cards, but you don't get to keep doing that on your turn. The second one, and this one's very common, is the green production cards. These activate once immediately when played, and once during the preparation for the season actions in spring and autumn. So the Barge Toad and the Peddler and the Fairgrounds can all activate in multiple portions of the game. The red destination cards activate when a worker is placed on it. Cards with the open symbol may be visited by opponents. So the inn and the chapel, you can place workers on them. But the inn has an open symbol, so your opponents can place figures there too. Blue Governance grants you bonuses after playing certain card types and offers different ways to play cards for a discount. So the Courthouse, you can gain a twig, a resin, or a pebble after you play a construction. Purple Prosperity cards worth is base points and the listed bonus points at the end of the game. So the wife gets 3 extra points if she's paired with the husband card, and that's all somewhere in the deck too. Always draw cards from the deck unless specifically told to draw them from the meadow. There is a strict hand limit of 8 cards. You cannot ever have more than 8 cards in your hand. If you get to draw cards, you can only draw up to 8, no more. If you are required to give cards to an opponent and all opponents' hands are full, discard the cards instead. If a meadow card is played, immediately replace it with a new card from the draw pile, like I showed you. If an ability allows players to draw cards from the meadow cards, draw all cards, then replenish. If the deck ever runs out, shuffle the discard pile to form a new. If a card says gain on it, then take the listed resource or point tokens from the general supply. If a card says pay, place the listed resources from your supply into the general supply. So for example, the Barge Toad says you gain 2 twigs for each farm in your city. So if you have some farms in your city, then you gain 2 twigs. Thematically, the game begins in late winter and ends as the next winter approaches. Autumn is the last prepare for season action you may perform in the game. To prepare for the season action, you may only be performed after you place all of your current worker population, which we did. When you perform the prepare for season action, you alone bring back all your deployed workers. In spring, you gain 1 new worker and activate all green production cards in your city, if you have any. In the summer, you gain 1 new worker as well. However, there is no production in summer, but green cards still activate immediately if you played some during summer. Also, you may draw up to 2 meadow cards. So I'll take the Palace and the fairgrounds. We've replaced immediately. When you prepare for the summer. In autumn, you gain 2 workers and activate all green production cards in your city. When you cannot perform any more actions or do not wish to, you have finished the game and must pass. If a player has passed, they cannot be given any cards or resources. If cards or resources have been given to a player and all other players have passed, discard instead. Any unfinished players continue playing until all players have passed. Then add up all points to determine the winner. You may find it easiest to add up the base value of each card, then come back and add up point tokens, purple prosperity card bonuses, journey bonuses, and events. If there is a tie, the player who achieved the most events wins. If there still is a tie, the player with the most leftover resources is the winner. And that's all you need to know to play the game Everdell. If you have any questions about this game, please put them in the comments below and I'll get to them as soon as possible. If you enjoyed this video very much, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to share to help spread the word about the channel. It really helps. If you're a big fan of the channel, click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell when we are releasing new videos. We release a new how to play / gameplay video every Monday. We also do unboxing videos on Wednesday, and we do news and updates video when it's called for on Tuesdays. If you really enjoyed this channel, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter to this channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Be on the lookout for upcoming gameplay video of Everdell, but until then, thanks for the views.